Welcome back to This is Life with Meg and Jenn. Today we're wrapping up our conversation about 1 Corinthians 10:13. But this isn't just about enduring trials. It's about reframing them. We're talking about what it looks like to see hardship through a different lens, not as something meant to break us, but as something God is using to shape us. So if you've ever felt like you're barely holding it together, this episode is for you. Let's lean into the truth that we're not alone and that God never wastes the weight we carry.
Hey! Welcome to Life with Meg and Jenn. We have been discussing 1 Corinthians 10:13 for the last several weeks. I think we're kind of wrapping it up. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. So we've talked about the story of Job. We've talked about Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
Just, there's so many stories in the Bible that are all about trials. And
Yes.
I mean, that's basically
Well, that's
the
one
whole
big book of trial.
Yes, the whole thing. They're stories of people,
Real people.
just like us,
Yeah.
that went through those things, and they learned to look at it, like we've talked about, in episodes before. They learned to look at it through a different perspective. They learned to, instead of self-pity, which, let's talk about David for a second, because king of self-pity for the first 3 lines, and then he goes into, okay, I'm beyond it, and I have come to realize that I myself am very much like that.
You have to just process.
Yeah, that's it. That makes it sound better. Seriously though, I'm just a side note, again, for free.
This didn't cost you anything.
I was doing like a scripture writing challenge, and it was like the Psalms, basically. So you're writing it all out, and I had to stop. I was like, God, I am so sick of writing out this mess from David. Like, why was he so whiny? It did. It was like, to me, it was so whiny writing it out, and really, because I was writing it, I was reading it differently. I was like, he was so whiny.
And the Lord said,
Well, like, and there was something that happened several months later, and I was journaling or writing something, and I was like, oh my gosh,
You're whining.
I am David. But my prayers were so like, I was so grieved and so
Heavy.
just heavy, but then I could turn it around and be like, but you're good, you're faithful, so anyway.
So good.
Those are people's stories.
Yeah.
And behind the beautiful, because really when we read the word, we see the beautifulness, because we see the end of each person's story. But behind the beautiful, there is always brokenness. And it's just our view, that's what it takes to get us, more like Jesus, and to become the original intent of the person that God had for us, is to walk those things out.
If we don't, we're not growing our faith. We're not given the opportunity. That's an opportunity for us to grow in our faith with the Lord. Like when something comes about, you have the opportunity to panic, or you're like, nope, God's got it.
Yeah.
I know He's got it. It's got something better. We're going on. You know? So I think every time you make that choice, or the panic choice, that choice is what becomes easier.
Yeah.
So
I know you're going through something where that was a easy thing to do, either panic or make that choice. You've probably been in that place before.
I feel like my whole life is that place.
Yeah, but like
I do.
You were you and Phil were both so quick this time to go, no big deal.
Yeah.
That's amazing to get into that place.
Literally went on our walk last night, and I asked him, I was like, check in. How you doing? Like, really? And he was like, not a worry. At full peace. And I'm like, everything in me, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But how?
Yeah. You
know,
even
like,
question,
I
like,
just-
how did I get here? Like,
Mentally, are you okay? Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so good.
so
I know,
good.
but I do. Our marriage started that way.
Mm.
You know, we were young, had a daughter already. You know, and so there was just so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're combining two worlds, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, like everything. And then, I had been the single parent. You know, and so the discipline side. You know, he's real soft there. But, you know, it was just a thought for me, though, as a single mom. I've been like, Lord, help me to allow him the space to help me
be
in
the
there.
dad,
Yeah, because I don't want to suffocate him out of that role, you know. And it was just always a concern, you know. And anyways, but there was just freshly married, so much going on. And then I had health issues, and so it was just a constant. And every single time it was, all right, Lord, you got it. You know, and so now, 18 years in this, and still rug ripping out from under you, and it's just like He's never failed us. So
Right.
you
do.
We don't know any other. There is no flight in us. It's
Yes.
all fight. And
Yeah.
it's fight with the Lord. You know, like it's just we got it.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I am not like, I know most people would think flight would probably be my first, just because I'm not much of a, you know, that fighter, like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I am more fight or freeze. I'm not in spiritual aspects. There's sometimes where I have to freeze for a little bit. Just like, I don't know what I'm looking at or what I'm, you know what I'm,
Yeah. So you just kind of hit pause.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I'm like, okay.
Ready. Yeah. That's so funny.
But one of the, and especially with that story too, one of the things that we really need to do in the midst of the trials, the hard stuff, is to look for God.
Absolutely.
We want to see where He is moving. You know, because sometimes, yes, you're in the midst of something, but so many people are in the midst of something.
Yeah.
And your something affects this something, affects this something. Like, we need to see where God's moving and what is He doing.
Right.
And why is there so many people hurting, and, you know, what is the strategy here? What is the plan? And so if we can get ourselves out of the self-pity perspective, then we're able to see what my friend is going through, what this person is going through, what that business is going through, what, you know, there's so many different things instead of just my little world, my little bubble.
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a different outlook on things.
Yeah. That's so good.
I have written down here, it says, give honor to God for the promise. Become stronger and stronger because of trust, and we become confident that God will do what He's promised. You know, there's so many times that you know, we've talked about our own self-inflicted
Trials.
but there are, I mean, the enemy is out to get us, to destroy us, you know. So we need to have a really good thought.
I think with that, like,
He's coming after your He's coming after the promise. He's coming after who God has purposed you to be and who He's purposed you to touch and to, you know, if He's coming after that, if He can get to that, you know, then that's not good.
Yeah.
So you got to know that God's faithful. And
I know. I think that sometimes, like, the non-self-inflicted, like, health issues, you know, and there's so much of that, you know, but it's still a time that you could lean into Him and have faith and trust Him, you know, and sometimes, yes, the outcome isn't what we wanted, but you don't know through that, and others watching you walk through that, how that's affecting them, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's such a time that my Nana always tells us that sometimes you're the only Bible other people read. And I said, oh, Lord, help them. On some days, I hope they didn't read.
Yeah.
You know, but it's so true, you know, like just as far as like, you know, when people are walking through health issues and different things, you know, there's always someone watching, you know, and we have that opportunity to stand strong, speak faith, speak life. And then that person's going to take that on in their life and maybe start it, you know. So
Yeah.
it's really neat.
Oh, that's good. That's, last year when my oldest had her second baby, and she was in the NICU. They were in the NICU for 3 weeks. She developed such a relationship with some of those NICU nurses because and this is not something she got naturally from me or her daddy.
Right.
It's just who she is as a person. She just brought peace into the situation, and her sisters are the same. Like anyway, maybe we'll do something on sisters one day and how weird some of that is. I don't have a sister, I have a brother. We don't operate in this weird sister thing. Anyway.
I have 4.
Yeah, so y'all do. But she would bring such peace into that place, even when she was in the midst of fighting for different things that I'm not going to get into. That there was one particular nurse that after they were out of the NICU and discharged, like they started texting and talking and developed a friendship. The nurse moved like to Chicago, and Jessica goes to Chicago once a year for dance stuff, but like she could reach out and say, hey, do you want to meet up for coffee, or, you know, come to the hotel where we are, and just, but you don't know. Like, what if that trial was for that relationship, or what if that hard place was to develop more of that fight in you, or what if that was so that in another year, you know, a year later, you could walk that out with someone as best as you could. Like it is, like I said earlier, those sufferings are shaping you as a person. Like if you allow them to really, you know, do their work. I do have a question that, like, I try to remember to ask myself when things come up. Does that make sense? To look back and remember when your faith was tested. But then when it was over, you know your relationship with God is deeper. When you know you are more mature as a result of that trial, like it allows you to go into that next one in a different perspective. And that's what, you know, perspective is so key in making it through the things that God, you know, really allows, or, you know, that we get ourselves into, or, you know, just even that, well, and still that would be God allowing Satan to test us, and you know, that nothing goes through his hands, you know.
So for me, trial's part of life. It's an opportunity for us to trust the Lord, to lean into him, and to testify of him. I mean,
absolutely.
really. Every situation. And like you said, that's so good too, as far as a reminder, as far as asking yourself the questions. One that's a way you can process your questions. Of course, different trials will have their own, but, you know, Lord, what are you trying to teach me here? Lord, what are you showing me? What are you to me through this time? You know, because like for us right now, I really, and this has not been the first time, but really know that he is showing us that he is our true provider. I mean, we have work that is not been what it has always been.
Work is not working.
It's been a little scarce.
Uh-huh.
And but then we have financial things and home things, and every single piece of those, He's our provider.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to send us the customers we need. He's going to send us the house supplies we need. He's going to send us the finances, every single piece, you know. And so I do know, and I know through this, and I want to make sure I always keep the mindset of look at what God did.
Yeah.
Not, well, we started doing this, so everybody started showing up at Broken, you know.
Right,
No,
yeah.
it's not about us. It's
Right,
about what
yeah.
God is doing there and here.
Right.
You know, I mean, through this and through the scarcity there, as far as slowing down, we're given this opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we have the time to do it. Yeah.
and for me, sharing the word and being part of something bigger than a clothing, you know, it's great. You know, it just it's a season of change. It's and change sometimes is harder for a lot of people, but through those times, it really allows us to trust Him and to testify of Him. You know.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah. And I have this written down just kind of to wrap things up. It says, discover the positive benefits to your negative experiences. Don't take it personal. Be willing to look. So instead of why is this happening to me, ask, what is this trying to teach me? And embrace it. It creates resilience. It develops maturity. It pushes our boundaries. It provides greater opportunity. And it prompts innovation, creativity. So those are just
so good.
Yeah, I may need to write that one down
on my forehead.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of you've seen probably that it's a pretty viral video about the women's Bible study that started studying. Is it Malachi? I think it's Malachi. Yeah. About the refiner's fire, and that's always because God's faithful to His people, and if you love Him, you're His people.
That's right.
That's right. And He's developing that character and the endurance and allowing us to go through things to help us mature and grow. So embrace it.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks so much for joining us today. If this conversation encouraged you, we'd love for you to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And speaking of what's next week we're diving into big, God-sized dreams. We're talking about saying yes to the things He's planted deep within us, even when they feel too big or too scary. We can't wait to dream alongside you. See you next time on This Is Life with Meg and Jenn.